Welcome to Home and Away, a Tottenham Hotspur podcast hosted by myself, Graeme and Glen, where we talk about all things Tottenham Hotspur from both a match attending and international supporters view. Tonight, we'll be talking about the change of management. No matches to speak of. We've in a big international period gap with Igor Tudor leaving and a new permanent manager in Roberto De Zerbi being in place. A lot to talk about. Let's get into it.
Let me be the one that you turn to, someone you can rely on, closer each day, home and away.
Glenn, how you doing?
I'm good, mate. Just thinking about your intro there in terms of both a match attending point of view. Let's not go there because I know that Thomas took the tickets.
I felt bad almost.
Yeah, and then had to get the train back up to Nottingham where he lives, the poor bugger.
Well, he said the only good thing was he got to St Pancras quite quickly.
Yeah,
and they got their train without any problems. But apparently the away supporters were on the train after them, and it was cancelled.
Oh, good. Yeah,
Lovely. Getting home on a Sunday evening with a cancelled train.
Yeah, no, indeed.
Let's not talk about that. I
don't really need to cover that into that. That was how many managers ago was that? Yeah,
it's like someone was saying that this is the third manager that Kulusevski hasn't played for yet.
Yeah, I mean
it's insane.
Nuts. Yeah. But yeah, to answer your question, I'm well. As I shared with you offline, I tilted my camera and showed you all the leaves are coming off the trees here. It's turning into autumn. So yes, the summer is kind of in the rear view. But yeah, I'm doing well, mate. I'm doing well. And Tottenham haven't been able to disappoint me. So
I guess the most noticeable thing from me since we spoke last is the god-awful time difference, which is actually worse, I think,
well,
it
becomes harder, and we go back this weekend, Easter Sunday, we go back, and you've gone forward, so it does become a tad harder.
10 hours at the moment, goes to 9 hours.
9,
yeah.
And for me, is midnight for you. So right now it is 10:20 p.m. for you, and it's 8:20 in the morning for me. Yeah, but as always, our listeners and viewers, we always find a way. We figure it out.
Yeah, next week's going to be a tough one with.
Yeah. We've got actually a nice little plug. Why don't you tell our viewers and listeners who we have next week?
So we have a special episode. We have Vinny Samways on. So looking forward to that. I had a quick chat with him.
Indeed.
Very much looking forward to talking.
Was a big part of the 91 FA Cup winning team and scored in our run to survival the last time we were in a bit of this.
Yeah, I'm very interested to hear what it's like in a dressing room, like when there's a lot of pressure from a league position like that. It'd be interesting.
Indeed. Well,
yeah, but really looking forward to that.
Yeah, absolutely. And talking about pressure, well, De Zerbi, he's walking into a pressure cooker, isn't he? And it's strange, right? I think had this appointment been made when we appointed Frank, I probably would have been more buoyed by it and have been a bit more positive about it. But right now for me, and maybe he does keep us up and maybe he swans in and we play great football. But right now, for me, it screams and smells of desperation to go from a 3-month appointment to a 5-year appointment. Apparently, he's on £12 million a year or a season. I think there's a pretty hefty bonus in there if he does keep us up. And allegedly, there's no release clause if he was to be the manager that takes us down.
I don't know if you've seen it yet because obviously it's very early in the morning for you still. But he did a full interview, which is online.
Okay.
I don't know if you've watched it yet.
No.
But when he covers a number of things, Greenwood, he basically says that there's no release clause and that he's going to be the manager next season no matter what. So he's basically committing to stay, I guess, even if we're relegated, or at least he's saying that now. And I hope that is the case because, and the way I look at it is, it's a shit ton of money. If he keeps us up, he probably gets handsomely rewarded for it. But when you think about how much money we'd lose for going down.
I think it's projected to be almost $500 million, right? That's what the projections I've read.
Yeah.
So a 30 million bonus looks pittance to that, doesn't it? You know.
Yeah, exactly. It's almost like even if you had to pay up his entire contract next. So let's say he explodes and it goes to pot like 3 months into next season, and you pay him up. Yeah. It's still. Yeah. If he's kept us up at that point, it's paid for itself. It might cost us a shit ton of money, but it's money that kept us in the Premier League. So
I'm kind of the view.
Kind of a weird. I feel really weird saying we might have to pay him up 60 million and that would be a good deal.
Yeah,
It feels a bit weird saying that, but it's probably true.
I'm kind of the view with him, like, stylistically, I'm actually quite intrigued and I dare say a bit excited to see what he brings in terms of how we set up. Because you could argue we actually have some really good attacking players for him to work with.
I still haven't figured out how we've managed to get so little out of them for about the last, well, certainly since Frank started with them. I can count the number of games where we played free-flowing attacking football on one hand. Last season, we were more fluid going forwards, but we still struggled to score goals. Maybe that was injuries. I'm not really sure if it was. But it was only really since the first half of Ange's first season where we really looked like a really flowing attacking team. But yeah, it will be interesting.
He loves technically gifted players, doesn't he? You know, players that can get on the ball,
press resistant. He plays a possession game, right?
Yeah, it's almost like players that we would maybe describe sometimes as luxuries are key to his system. And I think of players like Xavi Simons, James Maddison, Kulusevski, probably Archie Gray to a certain extent. You know, he's comfortable and good on the ball.
Yeah.
Bergvall maybe as well. I think those types of players are really going to thrive in his system. And interestingly, I won't go too off topic. I've got a lot more to say about De Zerbi, but you'd sent me a link about apparently Polinia being linked to being basically signed on a permanent.
Yeah, they said they're gonna offer him a permanent contract. So he must have made a decision fairly quickly that he wants him as part. Maybe he sees him as the linchpin for the rest of his. I think that's kind of weird though, because if you're talking about a passing possession side, Pellegrini is not that at all, is he? No. He's the opposite. He's he's the antithesis of that. But so that would be interesting to see.
And I'd have to look into this. Maybe you have. How many of the current Brighton squad were part of De Zerbi's setup? And do you think there could be a few bit of poaching going on there if we stay up? That are going
maybe. I know. I'm not even sure who's left that was still there.
Was Matoma part of his setup?
I think he's been there a while, hasn't he? So how long has it been since he? I haven't look at the date.
I think it was 2000. And I know this. He was there in 2023 because he tried to lay out
22 to 24. It was
because he tried to lay out Stellini because I was at the game when he did it and he got sent off.
I remember that.
For a visit, so he was there then. So it's not been that long. And look, just coming back to him as an appointment, as an entity, as a coach, he knows the Premier League well. Yeah. I listened to
qualified for Europa League.
Listened to a recent podcast and they were almost banging on him that he wouldn't have been watching Tottenham. He's not been paying attention. I just don't buy that. He's a football guy. He was in the Premier League. I suspect he very much has been watching the Premier League still with a view to maybe another job somewhere else where he's ended up at us.
He says he's watched a lot of Tottenham matches.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming that this has been on the cards for a while. Maybe because they were talking about it for the summer. He's been keeping an eye on us. And he did say, he hasn't been coaching, so he's probably just sat in front of a telly. He's probably got square eyes. He's watched so much football.
He's probably needs some therapy if all he's done is watch our games.
Or at least he's going to walk in and know it's not going to take much to look good here. I had a question for you. We can talk a bit more about how we got to where we are, but do you think that for the remaining 7 games, he tries to implement his full philosophy, or do you think he tries to win the 7 matches however he can?
I think it's the latter. And I actually will add on to that and suggest I think he might come in softly with the players and say, you tell me what's going to get the best out of you for these next 7 games. It's almost like this is the cattle he's got. Yeah. There's not going to be any signings. You can't change the squad at this stage. They're bereft of ideas. They've got low confidence. So if I'm him and I think he'll play out like this, Van der Ven, Romero, Xavi, Solanke.
Players playing in the right positions would be a good start.
That would be a good start. But it's like, what do you want from me for me to get what I want out of you? That's the approach I would take, and I hope he does. And then with a view, if we stay up, you go into the summer, and then...
there's rumours about him, that he's already told them, I want Locatelli in the summer.
Yeah.
So and that would be an interesting signing.
Well, of course, and we've had this under Ange in Ange's first season, but of course, going into next season, I think if we win the FA Cup and won the League Cup and played all 38 games in the league, you're not playing more than 50 games, and we're not going to do those two things, by the way. So we're not playing a great deal of football next season as compared to this. And
but actually, it's a good opportunity to focus on the league, right? Which we've seen that with other teams that have had that.
And
like Chelsea.
But for me, it goes back to what I said a few episodes ago. I think right now, going to next season, finish 10th, finish 9th, finish 11th, but show me there's a basis for moving forward.
Yeah.
Like
we start to see an identity to what we're trying to do. And
correct. Yeah.
And even if it doesn't work, even if we don't have the consistency, we can see what he's doing.
Well,
because I never saw that with Frank. I never saw it once.
I had to chuckle. A lot of social media viewpoints or just general fans in call-ins and stuff when we made the appointment, there was always this tone, he's not very good. And I'm like, we're not very good. Like, for us to go and get a manager of his experience.
He's the best manager that was available.
100%. Like who's with the right experience, with Premier League experience, plays an interesting attacking style of football, and was willing to come in midway through a season and sign a long-term contract. Well, I was starting...
It's a very specific set of requirements, isn't it?
100%. I was actually starting to come around to the thinking of Kieran McKenna at Ipswich, because he's got connections to Spurs. I thought maybe that's the direction we're going, and I would have been quite happy with that. The Pochettino rumour, it always comes up. It never goes away. I personally, two things. I think if he was to leave America after the World Cup, he might actually get a few better offers than us. And then also, he might be quite happy in the States doing his thing. So
I think that if we could have found a way to survive till the summer, he would have come. But I don't think we can afford to wait. And I think whilst I personally would probably still prefer Pochettino, but that's very sentimental reasons.
Sure.
I think this is a good decision.
Yeah.
But it really, I know you were talking off air about this. It really says to me that this is just another random decision by a bunch of people who have absolutely no idea what they're trying to do. They're just reacting to situations and trying to, resolve them however they can. Because if you go back, even just look at the last four managers, right? We had Ange, who was a kind of all-out attack, one-size-fits-all philosophy that we'll try and impose ourselves on every team. So he starts to obviously bring players in to suit that style of football. And then he's replaced by Frank, who's a much more pragmatic manager who wants a completely different type of player. So the squad doesn't really suit what he wants. So he starts to make changes to the squad. And then he goes and we get Tudor in, who again is a complete change. Maybe he didn't get the opportunity to bring anybody in because we fucked up the January window before he even arrived. And then this is yet another totally different. Because I've been thinking about that. We went from Frank playing it around at the back, trying not to lose possession and losing possession, to Tudor trying to get the ball forward faster, so more long balls. And then this will be going back to the opposite again. So the players, they must be having an absolute mindfuck at the moment in terms of what I've completely forgotten what I'm supposed to be doing now.
Well, and what's interesting with what you just listed as well is you go from the Ange era, where Brennan Johnson, top scorer, say what you want about him, we got something out of him being a top scorer. And then he wasn't part of Frank's plans. He was sold. Frank signed Conor Gallagher, and then Tudor came in and Gallagher wasn't in his plans, so he didn't get a kick. So who's going to be next in that conveyor belt of players?
Yeah, who just don't fit the new system.
Just don't fit, It's it's going to be interesting.
I think if you think about it, he brought in Luke Steele, didn't he, at Brighton?
He did. Yeah.
So he made a goalkeeping change, and I'm wondering
and he signed Milner as well.
Yes, and Lallana.
Yeah, yeah.
So I'm wondering which keeper that we've got actually is the best fit for his system. He's not going to have a lot of choice because I think that Kinski will be probably the first choice for the next match at least until Vicario's recovered from his surgery.
Yeah. Which just on that note, not to digress too much, I'm actually quite happy for Kinski that he does get a game.
Gets back on the bike,
Yeah, he needs to. He needs that because that was sad to see what happened to him. He needs that game to.
Yeah, it was.
And I hope he has a really good game,
watch, wasn't it?
Yeah, I hope he plays really well. Yeah.
And obviously we can talk a bit more about the match in the next next
we will
episode.
do. But
hopefully we'll have more news in terms of availability of players by then, because Kudus is rumoured to be back as well.
And maybe I'm like grasping at straws here, but Maddison he's on grass and he looks to be sweating an awful lot in the work he's doing. So he's clearly
I think he's not. There's no contact yet though.
Okay, which
I guess
sense.
that's the next step, isn't it? Like contact training.
He seems to really love Spurs, doesn't he?
He does.
It's interesting.
Which,
He's the type of player you want.
More than a lot of the supporters do at the moment.
Yeah. Something I wanted to touch on with you, and I think you had a few views and comments on it, but De Zerbi's backroom staff, what do we know? There's an assistant coming, and then maybe Sandro or Nesta.
Nesta was talked about, but it's currently not. He's currently not coming. I don't know if that might change.
Yeah.
There's some other guy, I don't know if it's somebody he's worked with before, that's waiting on a work permit. But the really interesting one that I saw in dispatches today was the story about Fernando Diniz, who's a Brazilian coach.
Okay.
Who apparently is quite an interesting character and stylistically quite interesting as well. I contacted Lucas, one of the guests we'd had on a couple of weeks ago, and I said, "Do you know much about this guy?" And I took what he said and I will repeat it back. He says, "Wow, what's the source of this? Because it's something huge." Diniz is a very coach, that kind of coach you see his fingerprints immediately on his team. Crazily front foot, no long passes. I mean it. Just short passes from your own box to the opponents. He won the Copa Libertadores with Fluminense and then played Man City at the smaller version of the Club World Cup. Lost 4-0, but he played front foot. It became very folklorish. Basically, when you hire him, you know you're going to get crazy football, more than De Zerbi. He's the apex of it. And look, he's a great person. He's more of a professor than a coach. He looks a lot more at the human aspect of his players on a daily basis. But I'm not sure about his English level. Normally, Brazilian people do not speak good English. It would surprise me if that's his case. Well, then Lucas didn't think he spoke good English, and it was better than mine. So, if he's the benchmark, we should be fine. But I thought it's quite interesting. He reminded me a bit of who's the guy who was at Leeds?
Well, Bielsa.
Bielsa. It sounds a bit like Bielsa, doesn't it? That sort of.
Is he? I think he's the current Uruguay manager.
He is. Yeah, he is.
Yeah.
But I thought it was really interesting. If that's part of the coaching makeup, it's a big change from, a couple of new coaches that Ange selecting a YTS scheme from around the country.
Well, it's funny. I said off air, like, are we going to end up with a Martin Yole type situation in a year where De Zerbi gone and we end up with Diniz?
Well, that's the other thing, is that if Nesta does come, that he also wants the first team job at some point as well. So, interesting.
I joked to my mates here, if Nesta does come and he can't fix that defence, then I think we all just pack up and go home.
We'll just switch back to being a cricket club.
Yeah, because he was incredible. So if he can't fix it, fuck knows. Oh God. But I think we're not going to talk about obviously the game that's going to approach in too much detail, but when you saw the news that we'd hired a manager, it's a 5-year contract, it's a manager that's been around the Premier League, he plays good football, he had Brighton massively overachieving in his seasons he was there. Did you have a feeling that we're all of a sudden going to stay up, or where was your optimism?
My worry is we still don't know whether the players will respond or Harry will treat them on how they will respond to that, because that could be interesting. I hope you're right. He's kind of going to try and take it easy for the first. He's got 7 matches, right? He can't afford to fall out with anyone. He can't afford to not have players available for any one of those matches. He needs his best team to pick from to try and get the best out of them. So he might be a bit softly, or he might be very supportive and just very enthusiastic, as you've seen some of the videos of him in dressing rooms. My worry is, and my concern, I know, putting aside all of the discussion around his support for Mason Greenwood, and he did cover that in his interview today, which you haven't seen yet, but you can watch that. He does cover that, and he kind of apologises for it. It's a bit of a weird apology, and because it's like, oh, I've got daughters, and it's like, some of my friends are black. It's like one of those, one of those kind of things. And I'm not sure. He obviously had to address it because it was absolutely going to be the first question he got asked in the first press conference by whoever it was going to be. So I guess he's kind of got ahead of it a little bit from that perspective. I can't change the fact that we've already signed him for 5 years. So that's a given. Whether you believe what he said or not, that he has addressed it. My concern is he will not accept mediocrity from the club above him. If he gets the kind of shit that our managers have had to deal with in terms of half-arsing the transfer,
or just outright lying.
Yeah, all of that. He will not. He's not someone who's going to stand up and bullshit for the club, right?
Yeah.
And my worry is he's a bit of a basket case, right? He's very emotional Italian.
Yeah.
He's like a street fighter version of Conte.
yeah. He's a bit polished. Yeah, Conte's the one that wears the.
If he'd have had that,
he's in the Armani
altercation with Tuchel, he would have lumped him.
Yeah,
he wouldn't have just held his hand; he would have lumped him.
Yeah,
I just, my worry is we are a basket case of a club at the moment. Do we really need to marry that with another basket case? Like, if we have to make a massive upheaval to the squad in the summer and it doesn't go the way he likes, are we going to start the season with him falling out with the ball and then it all collapses again and we're back where we started with very, very quickly? So that's my only concern, is that if we can get these 7 matches out of the way and we win enough of them and we stay up and there's a bit more of a positive feeling around the club, and then we go into the summer and we make a serious attack on the transfer window, and I think there will be players that will leave still. I think
there has to be.
I think Romero goes, whatever.
Good. I'm fine with it. I'm honestly fine with it. I'm to the point now where you got us into this mess.
Yeah, and I feel a little bit like with all of them, right? If you're all, there's not enough, they're not circumspect enough, are they? They need to be looking at themselves a lot more than looking for all the other reasons.
The players, as we get into the summer and into next season, the caveat being we stay up, I want Archie Gray in there, Bergvall in there, Maddison,
Vuskovic,
Danso.
Mikey Moore.
Kevin Danso. I think he's been really good and he's had a really good attitude,
Yeah.
Even Odeberg, I felt really sorry for him when he got injured. He was just finding some form.
Yeah.
So, yes, I think
if there's people that aren't 100% committed to the project, and it is another project, because it's, again, as we said, it's like, okay, just fucking move all the chairs around again. It's a complete change. And probably there'll be a bunch of them that aren't a good fit for what he wants, and they will move on. And
do you think there's an opportunity here as well for the club? And I don't know what to think they'll do next, but do you think Langer has to go? Do you think he's done?
I think he has to go.
I think his position's pretty untenable.
I don't think he will.
Really?
But no, I don't think he will. But I do think that we will bring in. We'll go back to this dual directors of football situation, which I think is a joke in itself. And I think Lang will go back to doing the youth scouting and youth player acquisition, and that whoever we bring in will be the real first team enabler, which I'm okay with, because Langer can't do too much damage.
Yeah.
By filling up the academies, because actually he's done quite a good job of that. We've brought in some really good young talent, like if poached some from other clubs.
Well, we've also got, it goes overlooked, but we signed a player, we signed 2 recently, but we signed a player called James Wilson from Hearts, and Arsenal wanted him.
Yeah.
Maybe he starts to get a bit of a run in the new season. And then also
Mason Melia,
from Ireland.
There's a whole bunch of it. We've been really active trying to get the best young players into the academy.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping we start to see the benefits of that, because Wayne Burnett has done a really good job with some of those players. It's just whether or not this is the next thing about, again, change your manager. Is De Zerbi going to be someone who will bring through young players? Because he did bring in quite a number of veteran players as well, right? That was down to finances of the club he was at.
He signed James Milner, he signed Adam Lallana, and do you know what? In their twilights of their career, they've actually done really well.
He got a tune out of them, right?
Correct.
Absolutely got a tune out of them. So maybe that's the thing. It's a blend always, right? It's sometimes you need that experience in a squad, and I think that a few calm older heads in this squad this season might have been a good thing.
Well, I called it in the summer. I was screaming from the rooftops to go and get Jordan Henderson when he signed for Brentford.
He's done all right for them, hasn't he?
Yeah, exactly. No, it's going to be an interesting ride. I really hope that we see an actual new manager bounce, and maybe the difference being he's going to be there next season, right? Whereas Tudor never was. So maybe that explains
If
some
you
of the...
piss me off in these next 7 matches and you're still here, expect me to make your life a living hell in the summer when you get back from the World Cup.
Correct.
Or wherever you're going to be.
Yeah, correct. So it's going to be an interesting... look, we're going to cover the Sunderland game in the next one, but yeah, it's let's see what comes. It'll be really interesting to me to see, once he gets players back, what players does he pick, right? Because that was the problem Frank had towards the end and Tudor had at the beginning. Of we were so threadbare, you kind of just...
The team almost picked itself,
But now it's like, well, if you've got Bergvall back and you've got Kudus back, like how does he use those players, right?
Was Bissouma was there under him as well?
Well, that's a great shout. Yes, he was. Yes, he absolutely was. And he's one of our... He doesn't often act like it, but he's one of our older, more experienced players, isn't he now? Because he's 29.
Yeah. But also, he doesn't strike me as someone that he would get on with. If he's the one who's late for training, and
but he maybe he knows how to manage him, right?
Yeah, or maybe he knows he won't get away with anything.
Yeah.
Interesting. We'll see.
I forgot that, and he was... Well, we brought him off the back of that. He was really good at Brighton, really good.
Yeah.
Oh, so that's interesting. I hadn't thought of that. And then, of course, the connection with, not that he'll be playing in his first game, but Vicario is, of course, Italian. So there's...
And Udogie.
And Udogie, of course. Yeah, some connection there. So, look, I'm more positive than I was with Igor Tudor showing up and doing his thing. And look, just a quick shout out to the fact that it is sad that Tudor's dad passed away, right?
The timing was awful, right? I mean,
it's, your team's getting
not
pumped.
that there's ever a good time to lose.
Yeah, never a good
close
time to lose
family
your parent,
member.
but your team's getting pumped, and then after the game, you're told your dad's died. It was all written, wasn't it? And I said this. I said in a week's time, he's going to mutually be agreed that he just goes, and that was right for everybody. So look, onwards with De Zerbi. Let's just see what comes of it.
I'm disappointed with Tudor, because if he'd have picked a couple of wins up in his first 4 matches. And he could have got us to the summer, we could have made a more informed decision about what we did for next season, right? It feels like we've rushed this through. We paid top dollar, absolutely top dollar. He's becoming the second highest paid manager in the Premier League.
Really, a really strange analogy with it. It kind of reminds me of, like, when you move in house and it's just chaos and you haven't eaten, and it gets to a point in the day where you just don't care what you eat, and you run into a petrol station and it's a Ginsters. You don't care. You just need fuel. You're just panicking.
But you've just likened us signing De Zerbi to buying a £4 Ginsters pasty.
Exactly. Yeah. It's just panic. I'm hungry. I just need food. It's like...
Or it's the last thing that's open at the station before you get your train home from Waterloo.
Yeah. It's like, it's a sausage roll or upper crust. Stay with Ginsters.
It's BLT from the station on your way home.
But, it does scream panic, but you know what? Maybe, look, if I sit there and watch the Sunderland game and we play good football and we get the win, I'll be happy, right? I'll be quite happy. So, and the thing is, we seem to have been saying this, Graeme, for fucking ages. We only need 3 wins, and then it really creates...
But the number of matches that we need them from is getting smaller and smaller.
And smaller, right?
The win percentage we need is now, like 40%. Something like that, don't we?
Are we? Is it right, or is it still just us and Sheffield Wednesday? We're the only team or teams that haven't won a game this calendar year.
I'm not sure if it's just us now. I think Sheffield Wednesday might have won a game.
Bloody hell! And it's April. We're not going to play until mid-April.
Yeah. I think we got something. Is it like 3 points since Christmas? Since the Palace game on the 28th?
No, it's not good. Yeah.
So I think we got a draw early. We got a 2-2 draw against someone. Brentford, was it?
I think. Now. Yeah, sounds right.
And then Man City and Liverpool.
Yeah.
Just like, which is why we're in a position where if we hadn't have got points early in the season, we'd have been gone by now.
100%. Nothing else, like in terms of more Tottenham or De Zerbi, but just wanted to touch on obviously international due. We had Solanke and Spence in the England squad. Well, they flattered to deceive, but nobody really did.
Spence played all right in the first match.
Yeah, he always does, doesn't he? And he slotted in at left back. Was he left back again for him? Yeah.
I think he was, yeah.
Yeah, so, and then I think we had 1 or 2 others out on international, but the World Cup playoffs obviously needed to happen. But where do you sit on these silly friendlies at the business end of the season. Like, Tuchel is not going to learn anything from those 2 games, in my view.
No.
But do you
I
think
think
they
he
just
needs.
mean... Like,
I guess I don't know what he's looking at this point, right? Because he basically didn't play both the teams he put out. That's not the starting 11 that he's going to start the World Cup with, is it? It's not even close. He's
Correct.
basically giving the squad a run out almost, isn't he? To try and see who he can rely on if he needs to.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I don't think he got a lot of positive answers from the second game, especially because to lose 1-0 at home to the team we put out was awful.
Yeah. I have to say, on the game against Japan, I got home from the beach because it was like early and there was like 20 minutes left to go in it. I put on the Italy-Bosnia game because Bosnia, of course, took them to penalties.
Big upset there.
And Italy, that's a crazy stat. They're the first former winners to not qualify for 3 consecutive World Cups. The last knockout game they played in a World Cup was 2006 when they won it.
And the last game they won, last knockout game they won was against us in the final.
That's
Europa
correct, yeah.
final.
Yeah, in the UEFA. Yeah. UEFA Euros. Yes.
Which is what, 21? Was that 21? Because it
Well,
was a
it
year
was meant
later,
to be 20
wasn't it?
and it got played in 21 because of COVID,
Yeah.
Yeah, so you're quite right. Big upset there. Cario, was he? Oh, no, he's under having hernia, so no, he wasn't in the squad. Yeah.
So interesting, though, that did you see them celebrating when they found out that Wales got knocked out?
Yeah.
And they ended up playing Bosnia and they lost to them.
Yeah. They still pissed it down their leg.
Yeah.
Oh, well, interestingly, one of the players for Bosnia, a plug for America and the World Cup coming up, he is actually American. He's from Wisconsin, I believe. But he's Bosnian heritage, or his parents are Bosnian.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I bet Trump's really happy about that then.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
I'm surprised he's not been iced out the country by now.
Yeah. Well, for our sins, I think we're going to do a few specials in and around the World Cup, aren't we? We've got Tim.
Yeah, maybe we can do like a sort of Cup fantasy football or something.
Yeah, look out for that for our viewers and listeners. I think we're going to Tim Caffrey, who was on, was great, and he had a really good viewpoint on the World Cup, and is just generally a pretty good sports guy and broad international footy fan. So look out for that.
While we're on the subject, I don't know, this is your favourite subject, World Cup ticket prices.
Oh, mate.
It's been quite big on the news over here this week because, the fourth tranche of tickets went on sale and there was final tickets were going for $8,000. That's face value.
Two things.
Stupid money.
For shits and giggles, because if you'll recall, I was always in with a chance of getting some because I did the link, like the lottery, and then once you've done that, you'll always get the links to log in. So I thought, for shits and giggles, I'll log in and have a look. So I did. I've got the screenshots here. I could have got a ticket for Cape Verde versus Saudi Arabia in Houston. That would have been almost 400 USD. I could have got a ticket for Holland versus Sweden in, where was that? Houston. Look, Holland-Sweden, that probably would have been an all right game, but not for 600 USD. And then my favourite, there are still tickets, yes, for USA's first game against Paraguay for the bargain price of $2,700. But also, that's the one thing. And then the second thing, my good friend, he's also Graeme and he spells it like you do. He was messaging with me. Apparently, all the prices that were in the bid process are a ×7 markup to what they actually said they would be in the bid process.
Because they were doing demand-based pricing.
Correct. So
fuckers, aren't they?
Some of that's going in Infantino's pocket. Some of it's going in Trump's pocket. It's an absolute disgrace. And then thirdly,
it's the same thing that happened with the Oasis tickets over here.
Yeah. And thirdly and lastly, on the World Cup tickets, I saw a news story about Euro 2028, which is in the UK. You can buy 5 group game tickets for the same cost of a car park spot at a US World Cup game. Yeah.
Wow.
And that's not UEFA being dramatically cheaper. That's UEFA just doing what they always do. Like, I remember in Euro 2024, because again, I applied for stuff. I was getting links to tickets. I just couldn't get there in time because of the travel. I had a link to go and buy a semi-final ticket for England versus Holland. I think the price was €89. Like, it's a bit more than, it's reasonable. The average fan can afford that. And that's where the World Cup is just not. It's just out of reach for any fan. And does any fan really want to go and watch Cape Verde, Saudi Arabia?
No.
It's, absolute disgrace. But there we are. We're going to cover some of it. Nevertheless, I just hope that once we get to it, 2 things. I hope the football's decent and it's actually a decent spectacle to watch and England do well. But then lastly, I'm almost like to see in some of those crap games just empty seats, because it's too big. It's become too diluted. We don't need 48 teams in the World Cup. Yeah. So anyway, that's my rant, and we'll get into it more as the World Cup starts, I'm sure.
Yeah. So once we got the next 7 games out of the way,
then we
start
can
worrying
focus
about that
on,
instead.
Maybe then we can focus on England disappointing us, great.
Yeah.
Exactly. Well, that's all from me for this week, mate. I don't know if you had anything more to add before it goes out, but as I said to our listeners and viewers, a really exciting guest next week in Vinny Samways, ex-player. We're really looking forward to having him on. But from me, as always, come on, you Spurs.
Yeah, thanks to everyone who's listened in. Please like and subscribe to the podcast to stick all the algorithms so we can get in front of more Spurs supporters. And as Glenn said, come on, you Spurs.
Let me be the one that you turn to, someone you can rely on, closer